The Willful Rabbits Banner is our spring banner for 2021. We have come a long way since the first one 4 years ago. For this round, we have bunny-themed outfits from Minerva, Inigo, Severa, and Harmonized Myrrh Nah. We'll be taking a look at their stats and skills, plus talk about their playstyles and some build ideas. For this banner, our 4-star focus unit is going to be Spring Minerva. You can get her at 4-star and 5-star rarity with the 4-star version, not resetting your pity rates. As a unit, Spring Minerva is going to be a Lance Cavalier. She has 41 HP, 36 attack, 38 speed, 35 defense, and 18 resistance. Pretty much identical to Mini Minerva with good attack, speed, and defense, and sacrificing that res stat. She does have a speed super boon, and while she won't be besting Ingrid if you're looking for a scary fast Lance Cav, Minerva does just fine for a 4-star focus unit. She does have the best attack and speed spread compared to the other free-to-play Lance Cavaliers, just barely edging out Patrine. You do need to be careful around dragons and mages though. For old skills, Minerva is coming with Bonfires for special. She then has attack and defense solo 3 and out attack wave. Attack and defense solo is a great A skill for a lot of units and builds, and I believe it is Minerva's 4-star skill, so that will save you 20,000 feathers. For this year's spring weapons, we got a focus on attack and speed. Minerva comes with the Springy Lance Plus, which is a 14-might inheritable lance that states at the start of combat if foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, grants attack and speed plus 5, and neutralizes stat penalties to attack and speed during combat. For the most part, very easy to find enemies with more than 75% HP, so this is a super simple plus 5 attack and speed boost. Additionally, you get to ignore attack and speed debuffs, and that's always good since speed can be super vital for specific matchups. Last year's spring weapons tied you down to being near allies, but this year's ones gives you a bit more freedom. For the most part, enemies start with full HP, so unless you're using Savage Blow skills or Bolt Towers and Aid the Raids, then you can use these weapons for offensive initiations or defensive formations. Lots of build options depending on how you want to play. For our infantry units out there, Springy Lance could be an option for any close call type builds. Plus 5 speed with the ability to ignore speed debuffs is quite good when you need to win those speed checks. For builds, you got a lot of choices with Spring Minerva. You can play into her good attack and speed stats and upkeep her decent defense as well. Springy Lance with a speed refine adds plus 8 speed just from the weapon slot, and with attack and defense solo, Minerva is set to run another solo Sacred Seal. With the usual attack and speed solo seal is always great, we are getting speed and defense solo from the Tempest Trials, which does work nicely for Minerva's stat line. Bonfire and Auto Attack Wave are fine to keep, but you can also find cheap alternatives in Rouse Speed and Defense from Ferdinand, or maybe Attack and Speed Smoke. Budget B skills for Cavaliers are pretty small outside the usual Desperation, Vantage, or Quick Repose skills, or a Breaker skill. Desperation is fantastic considering our spring weapons are all about attack and speed anyway. If you got the fodder, then obviously a low B skill is going to be a good option. You could go for low attack and speed, then that way you don't lose any attack and speed stats, and the enemy won't gain extra attack and speed stats via buffs. If you just want to be in the offensive, then you could go for Sparrow or attack and speed solo with the Gale Force and Heavy Blade setup. Fury's not bad either, but we already got attack and defense solo, so playing around that is a lot more fun. If you want to change things up, Minerva has a lot of inheritable lances to choose from if you can get them. She can easily run Fire Sweep or Brave Lances or good old Slang Lance. If you can get those seasonal units, Flowing Lance comes with a low attack and defense, Goat Fork focuses on defense instead of speed, and then Candy Cane gives you guard. Could also go for the Spirited Spear from Gatry since Cavaliers don't have great special charging options. Overall, Spring Minerva is a perfectly fine Lance Cavalier for a seasonal 4-star focus unit. Next up we have Spring Inigo. He's going to be, I believe, our second green flying archer and has some killer stats. Inigo has 40 HP, 30 attack, 40 speed, 22 defense, and 27 resistance. Speed super boon, and stat-wise Inigo is only 1 speed behind Legendary Claude while having 1 more attack. Suffice to say, Inigo will be able to do some good damage if he's left alone. Compared to the only other green flying archer, Near's Fjorm, Spring Inigo blows her out of the water with more attack and speed and more defensive bulk. Just good old power creep at work. For old skills, Inigo comes with rally attack and speed plus 6 attack and speed for any ally. He then has attack and speed rain 3, which is pretty much a staple for any 5-star flyer at this point. For his weapon, Inigo has the Springy Bow plus, exact same effect as Minerva's Springy Lance with that focus on attack and speed. Obviously a solid option for any archer looking to stack attack and speed stats with the bonus of annoying attack and speed debuffs. From the normal 2 common manuals, we actually have 2 inheritable bows that may serve similar purposes if you want an inheritable weapon. The Helm Bow Plus and Core Bow Plus both inflict minus 5 speed and defense on the enemy, which is almost the same as plus 5 attack and speed for the user. Of course there are differences, but the general idea is to be faster than the enemy and to do more damage. For his other inheritable skill, Spring Inigo comes with the green dual flying 4A skill. Now that the tier 4 dual skills have been unleashed, expect to see them a lot more, especially on limited time seasonal units. These are mainly for helping older units keep up and score for arena, but the +2 to all stats along with +5 HP isn't the worst side bonus. Just off the top of my head, this would be great for Raisin, who's our 3 to 4 star flying green dancer that a lot of people like to use. Great for facilitating beast emblem teams. In terms of build, Spring Inigo is ready to bring the pain if you let him free fire. Crazy good attack and speed stats combined with a bow that gives more attack and speed on a ranged flyer makes for one scary initiator, especially with some flyer mobility skills. If you just want to fill out Inigo's base kit, you could go for something cheap like dual range to handle all enemy field buffs, or Lance Breaker since he is a green archer. Otherwise, good old Desperation or Vantage will work just fine. You can tack on your offensive Sacred Seal of choice like Attack and Speed Solo, Attack and Speed Bond, or Swiss Sparrow. Specials can be Mumbo, Luna Glimmer, or the premier Deadeye special. Anti-damage reduction seems like it's going to be the theme for this year. Attack and Speed Rain is fun to keep, especially if you go with a more defensive set of skills. Inigo can always run Sturdy or Mirror Impact and a defense or Resin Craze and Sacred Seal. He already has a ton of attack and speed via Springy Bow, so you have room to spec into other stats. If you want full damage, then you may just want Speed and Defense Rain instead, and of course Swiss Sparrow or maybe even Fury 3 or 4. If you want more attack options, then Aerobatics or Flyer Formation is great. Like Minerva, Inigo can always just use classic Fire Sweep or Brave Bows. Both are amazing on flying archers if you just need damage from the air. Spring Inigo will definitely not be beating out the craziness that is Legendary Clone if you want a meta flying archer, but he does just fine for himself. Third, we have Spring Severa. She's going to be a red mage cavalier with 39 HP, 37 attack, 40 speed, 24 defense, and 17 resistance. She has a speed and defense super boon, and while we got another high attack and speed unit, Severa doesn't have that high defense, plus she has a very low rest stat. A bit more on the glass cannon-y side, but boy does she have a big cannon hidden up her sleeves. Very competitive attack and speed stats for any mage cavalier, and for red mage cavs, she easily tops the group since competition isn't really there besides mage Erica. For out skills, Severa has Mumbo as her special. She then has low speed and res 3 and joint hold attack. Perfectly fine set of skills. Severa does have a unique weapon, the Gulen Combi Egg. This is one heck of a weapon, so strap in. It's a 14 might tome that accelerates specials, and if the foe has more than 75% HP, grants +6 attack and speed to Severa. Pretty simple so far, similar to the other inheritable weapons with the enemy HP condition. Now for the next part, I split it into 3 different colors because Severa needs to meet 3 conditions. At the start of combat, if the foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75%, Severa initiates combat, and Severa and ally has already entered combat during the same phase. Then Gulen Combi A grants the Brave effect, allowing for 2 hits per attack. So for the first half of the weapon, faster specials and +6 attack and speed just for fighting a full health enemy, easy peasy. Second half, Severa can essentially become Red Reinhardt with a Brave tome. Unlike Reinhardt, who can just initiate and always attack twice, Severa must meet those 3 conditions, and the last condition will be the hardest to fulfill. Severa and ally must have fought before Gulen Combi Egg turns into Red Dire Thunder. This means you can't just move Severa, then Dancer. She or an ally has to fight in combat. That part's going to be important if you want to put Severa on a defense team controlled by the enemy AI. It's not as simple as just setting up a rally trap with some dancers. Side note, if an ally attacks but dies, that still fulfills the condition to get brave attacks. However, Severa still has to fight a foe with more than 75% HP, so if you want to finish off a weakened foe, then she may not get the instant 2-tap. Before we drone on about Severa's weapon more, she does bring the red dual cavalry 4A skill. By now, tier 4 dual skills are not a surprise. However, this is the first inheritable cavalry dual skill. Cavaliers have the lowest BST, which means they benefit the most from these dual skills. However, they never got them originally, and I'm sure we can all guess why. It starts with the Reinhardt and ends with Dire Thunder. Expect to see blue dual cavalry at some point, and while it may not affect the highest levels of arena because those players can outscore these dual skills, everyone else may just run into a good old +10 Reinhardt here and there. For red cavaliers, I have to assume the most common sight would be Eliwood with his borrowed Blazing Duranda refine. In the future, for green cavaliers, Cecilia may actually be a nice surprise to counter certain annoying blue water units. For colorless calves, Brave Lynn's still great, especially if it depends on too much on distant counter, and I suppose cavalry healers with Dazzling Staff would be just as annoying. Arena scoring is a slippery slope, so if you want to get into the nitty gritty, I wish you the best of luck. Back to Spring Severa, is she gonna be the next Red Reinhardt? Well, you have to fulfill a lot of conditions, and one where you need to first enter combat with Severa and ally will be the hardest one to consistently get, especially true for the AI if you want Severa to be on a defense team. Now the payoff is a little ridiculous. At full power with brave attacks enabled, Guling Combi Egg has 11 more might and speed over Dire Thunder. Dire Thunder only has 9 might and inflicts -5 speed, while the egg starts with 14 might and gets +6 attack and +6 speed. If Severa can get it active, she will deal a lot of damage, and she has a great chance to quad attack as well. She already does good damage just with superior stats, but doubling her firepower with 2 straight hits is just nasty, as proven by our one and only main character of Faye. Should be pretty obvious that Severa loves more attack and speed, but if she has to take a hit, you may want extra survivability. Low speed and res just improves her damage output, plain and simple, but if you want to get around the activation condition of the egg, then there are some trickier options. Let's say you want to play around a PvP defense team with some dancers, you could use wind or water sweep to avoid the first counterattack, then get dance to either finish the job or just brave attack another full health target. Main issue with this is that Severa could move outside of dancer range with her 3 movement, and this would nerf her initiation if she doesn't target the right enemy. To avoid this, we could instead run Wings of Mercy. If you have a good Wings of Mercy beacon to set up Severa, then she would already be going second, which means full on brave attacks, and you can easily just focus on more attack stacking. Of course, Desperation is also an option for PvE modes to simulate the brave 2 tap if Severa gets low, and you can get those quad attacks. While low speed and res is great, this tome essentially already has 20 might, and with faster specials, she can pop a quick Moonbow like the good old Quick and Pulse Reinhardt. That said, for a one-time power spike, you can upgrade to Luna with Quick and Pulse. Would be fun with a Wings of Mercy team. Heavy Blade would work as well for multiple engagements if you want to go that route. Overall, getting Guling Combi Egg fully active does require some planning, especially if left to the enemy AI. If you can get the brave attacks going, Severa is a very scary unit. Hitting twice with excited specials is so good, and combined with the 5 space attack range of the Mage Cavalier makes for one scary initiator. Very much a powerful unit with high potential, but it all comes down to execution. Last up is Spring Myrrh Nah. They are a harmonized hero and will be a flying colorless dragon. For stats, Harmonized Myrrh will have 40 HP, 38 attack, 25 speed, 40 defense, and 35 resistance. She will have an attack super boon, and I believe she has the trainee boost like Harmonized Tiki and Ninian. Don't ask me why, that's just how it be. For the most part, Harmonized Myrrh resembles the regular OG Myrrh very much, on the slower side but good attack, defense, and res. That will be sort of the trend throughout her whole kit. For old skills, Harmonized Myrrh basically comes with the dream build for a standard Myrrh: Distant Counter, Dragon's Ire, and Attack and Res Rain. Enemy phase focus with the upgraded Quick Riposte skill, able to fight range threats with good defense and res stats, and of course a 5-star flyer isn't complete without their own Rain C skill. For their weapon, Myrrh Nah come with the Lilac Jade Breath. This is a 16-man weapon that accelerates specials. If the foe initiates combat or has full health, then Myrrh gets +5 to all stats, and she also gets 40% damage reduction from basic attacks and AoE specials. Yep, we've made it to the point where just straight 40% damage reduction without needing to compare any stats. Myrrh gets everything here during the enemy phase at all times, and for the player phase, she has to fight a full health enemy. Kinda ridiculous, but at this point, are we really surprised? This is a bit similar to Legendary Corrin since her damage reduction is tied to her special, but Myrrh is much less deadly in the player phase with her lower speed stat. Being colorless does mean your matchups against pretty much everyone minus Raven Tomes, but can 40% damage reduction save her from a dragon effective weapon. I did some quick and basic math. A 70 HP attack Falchion user would go up to 105 total attack thanks to the 1.5 times attack multiplier. 105 minus 40 defense is 65 damage. Reduce that by 40%, that gets us 39 final damage. That's not including Myrrh's extra defense or her rain debuff, but with all the defense debuffs and attack increases in this game, I feel like it shows that unless the dragon slaying unit is extremely buffed up or Myrrh has huge defense res debuffs, then she can maybe take one solid hit. If she gets doubled, then she's probably going to go down against any dragon slaying unit with a decent attack. You also have to remember that as a flying dragon, Myrrh is also just as weak to archers as she is to falchions. Not great to have dual effectiveness, but at least she has adaptive damage versus range threats, and with faster specials, maybe she can get off a quick special retaliation before going down. Luckily, as a harmonized unit, Myrrh has a harmonized skill. Activating it grants resonance blades to Myrrh and allies from either sacred stones or awakening, plus they also get a status that prevents one follow-up attack from the foe. Additionally, Myrrh and Nah get an IO shield status which negates flyer effective bonuses. Very interesting. So for the Harmonized skill, Myrrh cuts down on some of her weaknesses such as arrows and, well, follow-up hits. With her enemy phase kit, she can just sit back for one turn to tank any archers, and she doesn't need IO shield in that Sacred Seal slot like many regular Myrrhs like to run. Resonance Blades actually grants bonus attack and speed, so it boosts Myrrh's damage output a bit, and it is a +9 total speed with her weapon effect. The follow-up prevention ability is what regular Myrrh depends on, so that when this Harmonized skill is active, Spring Myrrh Nah really do just become a monster unit. I do think the follow-up prevention being passed to allies from these same games are also quite nice. It lasts for the whole turn, which means you can use it for the player phase and then the enemy phase, and this would be great for all kinds of situations. Definitely a case where Harmonized Myrrh is much better in the player's hands than the AI, since they cannot use Harmonized skills. Overall, not much else to add to Myrrh Nah's kit. They literally come with everything regular Myrrh would love to run, and the Harmonized skill gives them IO's shield for one turn, which is great for shorter fights. For specials, while Noontime on a 1 cooldown is great for some healing, I could see a 1-turn Glimmer counterattack also being fun. They may not have a lot of special charging skills besides Heavy Blade, but you can just use any of the regular specials depending on the situation. Bonfire, Ignis, Iceberg, Lacey's Soul, or Aether. For Sacred Seals, you also got a lot of choices. If you stick to pure enemy phase, we could go with Brazen Stance 2 or any defense and res increasing stance. For some extra speed, we have Speed and Res or Speed and Defense solo now. For Sustain, you could go with Mystic Boost, and for longer PvE maps, you can just use IO Shield if need be. Distant counter is always fun, but not necessary. You could run a stronger tier 3 dual stance, or even an impact or solo skill if you really want. Bonds or Fortress Defense and Res would be fine as well. With Dragon's Ire, we're basically committing to the enemy phase playstyle, and it's certainly Myrrh's main strength. Pretty much the standard Dragon DC build that is prone to getting baited, since Myrrh doesn't have built-in follow-ups on the player phase. Now, I'm not saying it's a good idea, but you could instead run Dragon Wall, since Saros is coming back soon. It stacks multiplicatively, so at full power with Lilac Jade Breath, you would get 64% damage reduction. You could even run the Quick Repose Seal, but if you keep Distant Counter, we're losing out a lot of extra potential stat boost. At least with Attack and Res Rain, you do get a slight advantage when you're doing those res checks. Would be pretty dang annoying to face, but not exactly something I would expect to see, since Dragon's Ire gives Myrrh the enemy phase killing power. The more flying units with damage reduction we get, the more Shinon and his Deadeye special continue to rise in value. That's going to be it for this banner breakdown. Some speedy units and weapons with one big scary tanky dragon. Good luck if you're planning to summon. Otherwise, we have a Tempest Trials coming up. Our reward unit is going to bring Spring Soleil, and we'll talk about him next time. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.